Hey, everyone, it's your hospitality friend, Glenn, and welcome to the newest episode of Esla's Icons and Experts, brought to you twice a month in partnership with our friends over at the Extended Stay Lodging Association. Every other week, we're highlighting a person who has either had an unmistakable impact in the extended stay industry, or we're going to be learning from experts to help you find success in the extended stay category. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking to Jimmy Taylor, educating you on selling an extended stay hotel properly. And I want to thank our friends over at IHG for sponsoring today's show. Did you know they have more than 700 extended stay hotels out there under brands that consumers love, such as Staybridge Suites, Candlewood Suites, Atwell Suites? Plus, they've got a robust new development pipeline and strong ownership. Learn more at development.ihg.com. That's development.ihg.com. We're going to be exploring the intricacies of selling extended stay hotels to help you understand and excel in this segment. So today, you're going to hear topics such as understanding sales, building strong brands, sales strategies and tactics, finding and nurturing long-term business, trust and relationship building, and finally, adapting to market changes. Also, I want to thank Delasart Hospitality for also being a great sponsor here. They're the leader in third-party management of extended stay hotels with more than 22 years of extended stay hospitality experience. They're the only company to offer three key services, whether together or separately: full management, remote sales support, remote revenue management services. Learn more at delasart.com. That's delasart.com. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy learning along with me. Jimmy Taylor, great to see you back. This time solo. What happened? No one else would work with you?
I guess not. My reputation is now tarnished, and I don't think anyone wants to be around me anymore.
Well, at least I'm here with you today. And as I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be helping all of you understand the sales process of extended stay hotels, because those are totally different. Now, Jimmy, over the IHG family of hotels and resorts, you have Atwell Suites, Staybridge Suites, Candlewood Suites, and also the Holiday Inn Club Vacations, but that's not really what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've done a good job, in my opinion, of building brands from the start. Obviously, we acquired Candlewood Suites from Jack DeBoer, as we all know, but we've had that brand now for over 20 years. So
let me just say, and if you didn't know that while listening out there, but you missed some of our other episodes, so make sure you go back to the catalog of the best list icons and experts and learn all about the history of our business. Sorry, I had to do the shameless plugging there, Jimmy.
No, that's great. That's great. But, Staybridge Suites is almost 26 years old now. Atwell Suites, 3 or 4 years in. Tremendous momentum for that brand. I like how you have Atwell Suites behind you.
I do too. And I can't believe it's been 3 or 4 years already. It really feels like just yesterday this brand got off the ground.
Yeah, the brand, but I'll be in Denver next week. That's our first new build prototype. It's a great hotel out by the airport if you haven't seen it. But nope. Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well.
I did just watch a video on Denver's airport, though. And just so everybody knows, Denver's airport is twice the size of the entire city of San Francisco. How crazy is that? Bigger than Manhattan?
It is a massive airport. And I can tell you, when you exit off, I think it's Tower Road, I think every brand represented in the entire universe is on that road. And so if you want to just take a tour of all brands, you could just go down there.
I love that. All right. So now that we've toured our brands, we got to sell hotels. So I think the best place to start, Jimmy, and I know just enough to be dangerous, but when it comes to selling an extended stay hotel, you got to get out of that transient selling mindset, because your goal is to only sell one room a couple of times per month as opposed to every couple of days, right?
Yeah, it's so true, Glenn. I mean, when I first started in this business 30 plus years ago, is all I'll say. I had great teachers. I was with the Summerfield Suites brand, who had just spun off of Residence Inn. And I can tell you that the training that I got there was really what helped propel me. But it really is. It's not an order-taking job. It's right. One where you had better get out and make the phone ring, and you have to make it ring with the type of guest that you need, that length of stay, that longer-term guest. Because if you build a hotel with kitchens, why have a guest that's staying one night that never uses the kitchen? And so it's very much a sales play with these brands.
More pragmatically speaking, it's a lot harder to sell a room 10 to 15 times a month than once or twice a month. And in addition, the reason why you're thinking or already have invested in an extended stay hotel is because of the operating model. And if you do not listen to what Jimmy over here is going to be sharing with us today, that operating model could be all screwed up. If you have too many transient guests to your hotel at any one time, then you're not going to be able to flip those rooms. Your labor costs are going to soar, and you're going to be in a different financial situation than you would expect it when you decided to make that investment. So now that I gave the warnings, Jimmy, how do we think about that mix of business? And then we could get into some of the strategies and tactics behind achieving that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've always said that the most critical person at an extended stay hotel is the director of sales or whoever's leading that sales effort. And we have a lot of really strong GMs out there that also understand. And one of the things our company has always done, it's a brand standard to have a dedicated sales effort. It's also a brand standard that you must come as a general manager through our sales training. Because I've watched over the years so many times where a hotel loses their salesperson and then no one knows the accounts, no one knows anything.
Gosh.
And the accounts leave because the only relationship was with that one person.
Yeah, of course.
And so the GM, their involvement in sales, not only going out and keeping the business that they have, but being able to identify, okay, who do I need? How can I train them when they come in? And so it is a very, very sales-driven model, and it always will be.
Right. Are there circumstances because of the extended stay model where the GM takes on a lot of those sales roles as opposed to a full-time salesperson, and it can be successful?
Yeah, there's a lot of time. The hotels that do a great job are the ones that once the account is identified and they're in the building and everyone loves the hotel, the GM and the operating team should really focus on taking care of that account. Let the director of sales continue going out, finding new business and doing the things. So, it's the hunter-farmer type of scenario.
Yeah, I like that. And, it's curious to me. And I think in order to move forward and share people, we should go a little bit back about why it's so important to have that salesperson there. The extended stay, of course, was a bright spot starting in about March of 2020 when the world kind of shifted from underneath our feet. And I noticed something out there, Jimmy. The folks that made the commitment to keeping that sales manager excelled even more so than the extended stay hotels that had somewhat of success during that dark period as well.
I mean, Glenn, that's a great point. There's a lot of people, and look, we can't diminish what happened. It was really tough for a lot of people. But the owners and management companies that kept their sales effort as intact as they could, whatever that means, they bounced back so much faster. I know that our brands, these, especially Staybridge Suites, Candlewood Suites, we popped back up really quickly compared to the other brands within IHG's umbrella, just because we did understand that go find the government workers, find the traveling nurses, find the individuals that are still mandatory and need to travel. But yeah, it was a huge learning curve, and it's part of why there are now so many extended stay hotels popping out of the ground. Everyone saw the return on investment and the operating money and the revenues that they were making.
And I do want to underscore for you folks that are new to this business that even though it seems there are so many extended stay hotels out there, and they do represent something like 1/3 of the overall new construction portfolio, by segment, it is still not very many hotels. So while it seems there's a lot going up, there's still so much more opportunity in the future. So if you're talking about selling your extended stay hotel, you're in a great position right now because there's so much demand out there that outstrips the supply we currently have, even in this market, that you're going to be able to have success. But Jimmy, in order to find success, I think they got to listen to you and take some lessons. So now that we've established how important it is to have a sales effort, how do you go about identifying that longer term business within your neighborhood as opposed to what a lot of people might be used to, which is the transient side of it?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason it's called director of sales, not director of order taking. And
Right.
so to be able to go out and I mean, sometimes the really strong director of sales out there, they have a pair of boots or they have a whole pair of tennis shoes in their car because when they get to a muddy work site,
Yeah.
when they get to somewhere else, they can transform themselves from the nice, you know, building they were just in to someone that can walk onto a construction site and get that business. And, it's amazing to me how really good some of our director of sales are because 30 plus years ago, we have they're being asked to do so many things now. There's all the social media side. There's all those things. I remember when I started, I had a pager or a beeper, and if someone needed me, they would beat me, and I'd run to the nearest payphone, which were
Yep.
everywhere, and I
Yep.
would call in, and they'd say, "Oh, so and so wants to meet with you."
Yeah. Jimmy, I
And
remember
then
having to carry around a pocket full of quarters just
right. So now there's so many different balls that a good general manager, DOS, and sales team have to keep in the air at all times, responding to social media, all those things. But I can tell you that there is a reason that we are all so focused on extended stay is because of what you said earlier, that labor model and that length of stay.
So, who are the most likely customers in a town near our viewers that would want to stay into hotels? And how can you figure out who those organizations are? I mean, it's great that you can go out to a construction site, but if they're already building, they're probably already staying.
Yeah. No, that look, it's a matter of being really inquisitive. You have to
Mhm.
think about, okay, this building is already under construction. Maybe they're about to move in, but there's still, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hospital, whatever, there's still going to be teams of individuals that will come in and train. Every company does that. So
Mhm.
there will be training teams. I mean, some of the best businesses that we've ever had have been restaurant groups that come in, they bring 8 or 10 people, they stay for a long time, and they train the new team members.
Yeah.
And so it's really about being inquisitive. You can't sit in your office and figure any of this out. You've got to get out. You've got to look at names on trucks and vans and all the basics that we all learned years
Uh,
ago.
to drive to regular hotels, regular transient hotels, select service hotels, brands that we all name. Go early, go late, see what vehicles are in the parking lot. Do you have a hospital nearby you? They might have traveling nurses. There's a whole lot of medical business to be had out there, for example. And, you know, Jimmy, thinking about all of this, I'm thinking it's probably important to get really involved in your local community as well.
Yeah, very much. I mean, there are old schools of thought that you have to be a member of the chamber, you have to be a member of the Convention Visitors
Yeah.
Bureau. No, you have to be out there, and it
Right,
doesn't matter how you do it. You can be a Rotary Club member. I mean, there's a
right.
lot of different things that you can do, but you can't sit in the office and be that order taker that I'm now making fun of so much.
Well,
But
here's the thing, I want to defend you for a second because the hospitality industry in general has been quite unusual up until recently. We have really created a whole generation of salespeople that were essentially order takers because things were going so well. So it's really important just to underscore the importance that things have changed. So do our strategies and so do our tactics. So we got to get out from behind the desk and get into the community. Sorry,
yeah,
I had to go on that rant there for a little
no, Glenn, that's a great point. So when I
bit.
started in this business 30 plus years ago, no one knew anything about extended stay. So we were having to teach and preach and do all those things.
Mhm.
And then, as you said, during COVID, right after COVID, everybody was out. They were coming, you couldn't, it was really easy to fill up your hotel.
Yeah.
And now things have gotten hard again. And so a lot of the individuals that got into the business in the last 3 to 4 years haven't seen where you have to really fight and struggle and go head to head with other pieces of
Yeah.
business because there was so much demand, it didn't matter.
Great. And now you got to figure out what that piece of business is before. Oh, there's one idea that strikes me, and I'm not a professional salesperson, but I get like the Patch, which is an online hyper local thing, and it's always telling me what new restaurants are opening, for example. So they're going to tell you what major corporations might be coming in to do a new headquarters, or all of these different companies that are coming and going that might give you insights that'll make you pick up the phone or have you have a meaningful bump in with them in their corporate lobby that'll help get you that business as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you just have to be inquisitive. You have to be someone that truly wants to know exactly what's going on. You've got to own that 3 to 5 mile radius around your hotel. If you know that, I mean, some of the more embarrassing moments have been when I've ridden over the years with a salesperson and they say, we're going to go see XYZ account. You walk in there, they're not there. And then you're like, wow, where'd they go? And the person downstairs says, oh, well, they moved their offices 6 months ago. Like, really? Okay. Well, obviously you're not in the building as much as you probably should be. So you need to always know who's going, who's coming, and all of those, any construction, anything going on, you have to figure it out.
I'm laughing because I just saw that episode of The Office where they decided they're going to do the old school tactics and take baskets to former clients. That did not work out too well. You don't want to lose the clients to begin with. All right. So now that we understand, Jimmy, how to get out there and find the business, what is the type of conversation you should be having with these potential sales lead and the decision makers?
I think a lot of people have always gotten in trouble when they just go and they have a canned, here's the way I sell. And this is they're selling on amenities. You have to determine what's the pain point and what is really important with that client. Because if you go in and their real focus is, man, my travelers are big breakfast eaters, and you talk about the social that you have and the beer and wine that you do, you just missed it.
And you're like, did you know that this is an AA group?
Exactly. So we have to be careful that we don't just go and spit out everything that we have, because it might not be what's important to them. What's important to them could be that the last hotel they worked with, the billing was always wrong. So there's been times that I've taken my front office manager on a sales call with me and let them see that this person is so focused on having accurate billing. And you will find that out, but you can't find it out without asking.
Okay, so it seems to me that the strategy you should do is have some sort of introduction that's kind of the umbrella explanation about why you're so awesome, then lead into what are your needs, what have been your complications. I'm very interested in learning about your specific needs so I could be sure to share with you why we're the right choice for you.
You're exactly right. One of the things that drives me the craziest, Glenn, is when someone calls me out of the blue and says, hey, what do you do for ISG? I'm like, wow, it's pretty easy to figure out anything about these things. So seriously, do your homework, because the only goal here is to separate yourself. As a salesperson, you've got to separate yourself from the competition, because your carpet, the bedding, that's not going to do it. That will help once they're at the hotel. That won't get you the client.
And I'll give an example from my universe. I get a lot of information from PR people, Jimmy, on a daily basis, looking to be on the podcast, looking to do whatever with me. And I could tell that these young PR professionals are just sending blasts, and they haven't bothered to take 5 seconds to understand what I do. And you know what? Those get deleted. They don't make it into my brain, and they don't stand out because I get so many that suck. If I only got one that sucked, it would stand out. But I get so many pitches that suck. They don't stand out. They don't seem to have any interest in understanding what I do. They're so worried about selling their client. Conversely, every once in a while, like this morning, I got an email from someone. Hey, Glenn, I listened to your show with XYZ guest, and they made this great point, and this is my person that I'd like to pitch and why it's relevant in the same universe, right? So they took a moment to understand my business, understood what my needs might be, and then communicated to me in a way that got me to remember it enough that not only am I going to respond to them, but I'm talking to you about it. So that is a big defining point right there, is knowing your stuff.
Absolutely. And when we were talking about sales earlier,
Right.
the trust, gaining trust is really the number. A lot of people say, oh, it's about relationships, and it is. But it's about, do they trust you? Do they trust that when they ask you to put this in a top accounts room, it gets done? Do they trust that when you are needed and they call you, will they be able to talk to you? So
Go on. Sorry. Go on.
no, I'm just going to say trust is the biggest key to me, because once they lose trust with you, they will start looking around.
And the way to build that trust is to listen and respond immediately.
Yeah.
Too many times in my professional career, people say, and then they don't, right? So if you get an important piece of information from them, you've got to deal with it right away. Everyone out there is pretty good at what they do, but if you want to be great, you just have to go a little bit harder. Do one more thing at the end of the day, make that one more call, and just be a little bit uncomfortable and push yourself a little bit higher, and then you're going to be able to get incredible results. It's not that hard to do a couple of little extra things.
Yeah, it's always bothered me when an owner calls me, and whether they get me right away or I call them right back, they're always quick to say, "Wow, thanks for getting back to me so fast."
Right.
Why
and
would I not?
Defines you, makes you
I know,
memorable.
but why would I not? Because the reality is, I work for owners. Owners build hotels. We help support them. We have great franchise support teams. We have sales teams, but we're only support. They put the money up to build the hotel.
Right. But I think that speaks to a larger issue in society. It's really easy to make an amazing impression by just doing what you're supposed to do. It's amazing to me, man. Over the years, people have said, so-and-so like that article you wrote, did this thing. All I did was listen, write down what they said, and then put it on a piece of paper and printed it. So what we're talking about here is all you need to do is listen to what the sales prospects say and respond to their needs or their asks immediately. They will be so blown away. You're going to be ahead of your competition that decides to go out to lunch first, then decides to go home, and they'll be like, I'll do it tomorrow. No, people want answers right away.
Right. In my entire career, I've never, ever lost an employee that gave 100%. If you give 100%, you will be fine. So a lot of people, like you said, it's a priority. Maybe my lunch, getting to the food trough before noon, before everyone's there, might be a little more important to you than responding to that call. And it can't be. Someone's paying you to do a job. You have to execute.
Yeah, exactly. Always put work first. And listen, I always try to frame these things in being selfish, because I'd like to be lazy. I am a type D personality pretending to be a type A personality, right? So for me, if someone asks me to do something, if I get it done immediately, then I could go off and be lazy, and it's not festering in my head, and I don't have to worry about it anymore, right?
Well, if I don't do it immediately, I'll forget.
Yeah, so then there's that too.
Immediately.
My New Year's resolution is to write everything down this year, and it's actually helped a lot, so I don't look as dumb as I normally do. But Jimmy, what's the best way for salespeople to get engaged in a conversation to explain the differences between what people understand a transient hotel to be versus what a extended stay property truly is to them?
Glenn, it's really what is the type of person that you've hired, and are they someone that really understands their goal? There's a lot of salespeople that are out there that are very good, but they're good at selling something. They might not be good at building relationships. They might not be good at overcoming objections. They might not be good at selling a hotel that's a little too close to the railroad track. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're going to have to overcome, but we need to make sure that whoever that is, that they are understanding of what's the goal and what do I have to do to beat my competitors.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it, because the competition's tough. I mean, there are a lot of good products. There's Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt. I mean, they're all have great products.
Yeah. Right.
So separating yourself, whatever brand you are, but the building is not going to do it. The person always will do it.
Because the fact of the matter is, no matter how many hundreds of great hotel brands are out there, nobody is really able to remember them all.
No.
And they may not necessarily associate a brand like Atwell Suites with an extended stay hotels because it's only been around for a few years and it hasn't reached critical mass yet. So you have to be the personality behind the brand in order to sell the brand, because the brand today isn't going to sell itself because of all the reasons that we've mentioned over this entire podcast. Jimmy, any final tips before we wrap up for today?
No, I think that, it's always good to talk to you. I love your energy. And, I think more than anything else, if you're starting in this business, it does start with a GM and a DOS that get along, that understand, that have the same common vision, which is finding the length of stay that it needs to be able to truly maximize what you've built.
And again, going back to how lazy I am, how great is it to sell a room once or twice a month and not have to worry about selling it 10, 15, 20 times a month? You make some big deals, you be kicking back and getting yourself in the political scene in your neighborhood coming up.
Yeah, when I was on property, the best day for me to take off was usually Wednesday, because once you get that length of stay right, there's not many people checking in and out on Wednesday. So if I needed to go get a haircut or do something real quick during the day, that's the day, because the property, once you get it to 60%, kind of 5 to 7 plus nights, you're going to make a lot of money, and it's going to be easier to run your property.
Beautiful. I love it. Jimmy Taylor, thanks so much for educating us today. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you for watching us today. Now, remember, you can get out there. You can do it. It's not that hard. Selling an extended stay hotel is really about getting involved in your neighborhood. It's about understanding that 3 to 5 mile radius all around you, and what are the businesses there? What is driving those businesses? How can you form relationships with those businesses to sell yourselves on a hotel that's designed for 5 to 7 plus nights or more? Be inquisitive, ask the right questions, and make sure, no matter what, that you try to listen and respond to people's needs immediately, because that is going to be the big point of differentiation for your career, for your hotel, and your success in your job. I'm Glenn Hausman. That was Jimmy Taylor. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out all of our episodes of the ESLA's Extended Stay Lodging Association's Icons and Experts series. We'll see you next time.